Velocity 2X is a game about speed and destruction, or at least that's what developer Futurlab would have you think. You play as Kaitana, a recently captured and remodeled human who possesses a device allowing her and her ship to teleport, which gives the gameplay its main gimmick. You can warp to and fro in areas, an ability generally unheard of in a shoot-'em-up. But therein lies Velocity 2X's problem. It's not a shmup. It's a stew of genres that might satisfy the palate of some, and might leave others wishing they had just gotten steak instead. Here are the basics. For half the game, you will be flying your ship vertically, rescuing survivors and taking down turrets while racing to the end of the stage. The other half has you on foot, storming enemy stations to destroy them from the inside out in a side-scrolling platformer and shooter mix. You will often switch between these two gameplay types multiple times per stage, which can lead to some confusion as the controls for each type are a bit different. The boost, warp, and telepod buttons are universal. However, shooting and jumping are different depending on the type you're currently playing. The warp mechanic has you holding the button, aiming to your destination, and then releasing it to activate. When making short hops, it works like a dream, but when you have to stop to aim, it gets a bit cumbersome. I felt that a more streamlined single button press would have worked wonders, as I often ended up accidentally aiming a bit shy of where I needed to go. Also, having the distinction of two different warp buttons in the side-scrolling sections, a long and short version, led to some fumbling and retries quite often. If you expected to be plowing through enemy ships as fast as possible, then you may be disappointed to find out that Velocity 2X is as much of a puzzle game as it is a shooter, maybe even more so. The game wants you to go fast, like blindingly fast. The name is Velocity, for crying out loud, but there's no incentive for doing so other than getting a higher rank at the end of each stage. And while zooming through each area like a bolt of lightning certainly feels good, the level design just doesn't allow for that many instances of all-out reckless endangerment. All too often you will boost forward, only to quickly have to come to a dead stop, reposition, and destroy some minor enemy or switch. It's the equivalent of using a Ferrari to deliver mail. Sure, you have the ability to go a zillion miles per hour in style, but what's the point when you have to stop every 5 feet anyways? Why am I always moving sideways? Why am I constantly shooting backwards? Why am I forced to aim at small targets surrounding me when I could be blaring forward at the speed of light, making a giant mess of everything in my path? Alas, Velocity 2X has you spending more time running through labyrinths and hitting colored switches in the correct order than it does obliterating the enemy fleet. I groaned every time the game prompted me to leave a telepod, which meant that I would soon be backtracking after opening the path to the next area. These aren't occasional events either. It often happens multiple times per stage, which means you need to open a menu to decide which pod you need to warp back to in order to solve the next puzzle. There's actually a level called Backtrack. Its game design is consistently at war with its surroundings, like a gladiator tending to a garden. When the game actually lets a teardown and you put the pedal to the metal, the experience is exhilarating. And that is in no short part to the unique cel-shaded visuals. It even manages to top its predecessor with improved lighting effects. Oh yeah, things blow up real nice. Exhibit A. The sound is also excellent, with each laser, bomb, and pane of glass shattering, carrying weight to it. Even in the vacuum of space, this game sounds splendid. The soundtrack is subtle but effective. It all seems to transition very well, and depending on how you look at it, it's either a positive or negative that I never noticed one song changing to another. Also, there is a story to the events in the game, but it is so generic and hackneyed that I almost forgot to mention it in this review. I think Velocity 2X is a complicated game, and that's part of its problem. I think it wants to be eloquent, the thinking man's shooter. But really, its issues mostly belong to the fact that it's nomadic and never settles in one place. It's a shooter mixed with a puzzle game, a platformer mixed with a racer, a bullet hell mixed with a collectathon. It sounds fantastic on paper, but in execution it left me wishing the developer had the guts to just deliver one or two experiences with ferocity. The distinction between the intentions and the result are that of a cheetah speeding after helpless prey and the poor devil being held captive in a zoo. Velocity 2X is currently available on the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation Vita.